Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Dr. Dan Ritchie hosted another webinar here on ageless fitness coaching. I've got my good friend Kyle Henning from KeepBooked here today, and we're going to have a just an open conversation really about fitness ownership and marketing myths and a lot of the things we've seen people do right and do wrong, and some of the mistakes we've made. I've only got a handful of slides, and then we'll open it up to live questions. So I want to make sure the chat is open and working for everyone. Those of you that are on live, go ahead and find the chat. Tell us if you're let's see, yeah, attendees can chat with everyone. Um, Tell us if you're a business owner, a studio owner, aspiring. There's always a lot of people who are like, oh, well, I plan to open in 6 months. But seriously, have you signed a lease or have you just been thinking about opening in 6 months for the last, 16 years? So I've heard all of that. So put that in the chat. That'll help us kind of phrase this as we go along. So um, Kyle, I just want to start with a couple of the basic things that I think many of us have heard over the years. And the first one is if you build it, they will come. And I have to admit, I was guilty of this in 2006. Cody and I were like, well, we'll build Miracles Fitness. We'll be the only fitness center catering to people over 50, and we'll be right here in the prominent strip mall across from the major grocery store. And like, I mean, we were in the heart of town, right? How could people miss us? And 2 years later, people are like, "You opened a fitness business? Where is it? Never heard of it. Never seen it." I'm like, "Don't you go to the doctor right next door?" Like they're driving by it all the time. Um, in fact, I thought it was funny. I looked up the origin of this phrase, and most of it's attributed to the movie Field of Dreams, and the phrase is misquoted because the phrase from that movie is actually, if you build it, he will come. And I was curious if anybody even knows who that is. So it's like we've been using this phrase in business for a long time. Um,
Yeah,
and anybody know who the he will come is? Do you know who that famous baseball player is, Kyle?
I don't.
Anybody in the chat know? See if anybody knows. Probably have to be old like me to know who that is. Anybody seen the movie Field of Dreams? The movie's from 1989. No one brave enough in the chat to go for it. So, and I put in here famous baseball legend. Um, Shirley's Joe. It's shoeless Joe Jackson. Um, Tracy's got it. Good job, Tracy. Um, And the reason I put infamous is he was banned from baseball in 1920 for supposedly throwing the World Series in 1919. Are you familiar with this story, Kyle?
I'm not.
Yeah, I mean, almost have to be a baseball historian. Either that or you've seen the movie Field of Dreams or Eight Men Out, famous baseball movie. Um, and it's kind of odd that he got thrown out. The White Sox threw the World Series supposedly for money, a whole big gambling scandal, and Shoeless Joe Jackson got caught up in that. Um, yeah, Tracy, or if you're ancient like me, um, Shoeless Joe Jackson had the highest batting average in that World Series, and he was the only one to hit a home run in that World Series. And he would have been voted the most valuable player of the World Series if the White Sox hadn't thrown the series, but he got thrown out of baseball, and so he did sort of become an infamous, legendary figure of baseball because he never got to make the Hall of Fame, even though he's considered one of the greatest baseball players of all time. And we still use this phrase, well, if you just build it, if you just open, right? I mean, did you do this, Kyle, with one of your first Anytime Fitnesses?
Yeah, and actually, in some respect too, I've done it twice, like an idiot. Uh, in the respect of, I made a mistake twice. It took me two times to learn my lesson, thinking that if your gym is really busy and doing well, that if you just add on, that'll they'll just fill your space and fill all your new expenses and you'll make all this money and it twice I added on and I did grow revenue, but I grew revenue probably even to the additional expenses
Yeah, right, right.
and
Yeah.
right and then I remember Dan, my first Anytime Fitness, back in 2006, Um, I would go to the same health fair in town every year, and I was just shocked at how many people would say, "There's a there's an Anytime Fitness in town." And I was like, okay, well, the first year, like that would be acceptable, right? But when it happened the third year, and I had been there and I had been doing what I thought was marketing then, and it wasn't, right? But it showed me like the awareness in your community is not what the average person thinks it is.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I think we put that myth to bed, the whole, oh, if I just open, and you're right, then you do the next thing. Well, if I just expand, or if I take over the space next to mine, I build bigger. And of course, a lot of people are like, well, if I just open a second location, it's like, wait, if your
Hmm.
first location isn't healthy, profitable, why would you open a second one? Like that's not the recipe to success. So I think that's one of the common fundamental myths people have made in really a long time. So hold on
Dan, I
just a
love
second.
your. I should just open a second one.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
I was speaking at a fitness conference in Canada, and someone said, "Hey, for those of you like who own multiple clubs on the panel, when did you know it's time to open your second one?" And I was like, Here's my best advice I could give anyone. It's time to open your second one when you can take a 2 week European vacation, afford to pay first class in Delta One, and stay at a Ritz Carlton resort, and no one from your current facility bothers you for 2 weeks, and things don't hit the fan, and nothing falls apart because you have operations and SOPs in place, and your marketing's in place, and your operations are in place, your staff is in place. So when you can afford to take that trip, that means you can properly afford probably to do your second one. And when you can be gone for 2 weeks without your whole business falling apart or ruining your vacation, you probably have the SOPs in place as well to do your second one. But a lot of people do it when they couldn't take that trip, and it causes, then now their current location hurts, their new location struggles.
yeah.
It's an issue.
Yeah, no, I love that. I mean, basically, hear what Kyle's saying. You have to be able to disappear, leave the country for 2 weeks, right? You didn't just say, "Hey, take a spring break to Florida." You're like, leave the country for 2 weeks. I would phrase that another way. What if you have to be in the hospital for a month? um,
Oh, good.
with
Yep.
and maybe it's not you, maybe it's a family member. Like if you had to be completely unavailable for 2 to 4 weeks, would your business survive? And if the answer is no, why on earth would you throw a second business into the mix? Um, let's get to the next one, which I know you've probably seen more and more of now that you're running a marketing company, but I can't afford marketing. Advertising is too expensive. So tell me what you've seen with those who've consistently invested in advertising versus those that really haven't, and share your experience across the Anytime Fitness universe and then maybe other clubs you know.
Yeah, I look at this in two parts, really. There's two investments that need to be made. One is financial, and the other one is mental. And I run into both. Some people will make the financial investment, but not the mental investment. And when I say the mental investment, that means you have to believe it's going to work. Because if you don't believe it's going to work, I don't believe you're going to put the effort in that's required for it to work. Right? And so I could do a fantastic job, or my team could, and generate quality leads in the age demo you want, near your location. But if they're not followed up with appropriately, it's a waste of money, right? Then if they're followed up with and they book an appointment, but the appointment's not confirmed, you could struggle to get an ROI. If the appointment's confirmed and they come in, but you don't have a good sales process and you lose them that way, you might not get an ROI, right? And so like the mental investment and the mental time and energy that's put in after you get a good lead is just as important as the money you spend on the marketing, right? And so I hear both sides of things. Uh, what I've seen with the locations that are sticking with this, right? And actually, Dan, Mike Scaff. I just had a conversation with him this morning, and Mike has 4 locations in Colorado, and he was jacked to see some of his numbers year to date. They've been consistently marketing, uh, getting consistent leads, and then it's improving the operations behind those over time, right? So he said, okay, we made the investment, we got leads, that's great, but then we had to start tracking what's our book show close rate, right? How do we improve all 3 of those numbers? And he's like, we've been working on that for a year now, and those numbers are really starting to improve, right? And if you're just a conventional gym with personal training, well, then the next number that has to improve, oh, great, we got a new member. How many of those booked a fitness consultation or an onboarding session with the trainer, right? What's the book show close rate on those? Like, it keeps going. It's marketing is one cog in a wheel that keeps going. And so Mike is a great example of, he's been spending the money, which then, of course, it optimizes ads over time. One of the worst things people can do is do 1 month of advertising, right? And say like, oh, that didn't work.
Yeah.
Right. Just shut it off. I didn't, that didn't work. Well, you got to remember too, like, half your leads came in the second half of the month, and like, they might not sign up for another 2 weeks. It takes
Right.
time to work
Right.
them. So
Right.
you're making a decision, like, at the end of the month, you might have got 5 leads yesterday that might sign up next week, but you're shutting the ad off right away. And so,
It's like working
um,
out, it's like, ah, I worked out for a month. That didn't work.
this is marketing is just like, I feel like I'm a personal trainer, right? And as a personal trainer, if someone said like, "Hey, I'll give you 1 month, I want to lose 100 pounds," right? Well, you as a trainer, you're like, "Well, I'm screwed. That I can't do that. This person needs to exercise twice a week for a year. They need to change their diet, right? They need to change their habits. They
Yeah.
need to sleep well. They probably shouldn't drink alcohol, right? And so, like, that's all those, like, following up with leads. It's the same type of thing. And so going to any agency, whether it's KeepBooked or a different one, and expecting to lose 100 pounds in 1 month is not going to happen, right? It's
Yeah.
tough.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think you kind of exposed, advertisers, marketers will say, well, you can spend money and we can get you leads, but if you don't do anything with the leads, then it can be easy to be like, wow. And of course, the common one is, oh, you didn't get me good leads. It's like, well, that's only going to really be determined by did somebody sign up? And if your process to get somebody to sign up is you're hoping they're going to walk in and just hand you their credit card for $10,000 a year, um, nobody's probably going to get you those leads. I mean, like,
Mhm.
you're going to have to actually convince them that your place is great. You're going to have to win them over. You're going to have to follow up. You're going to have to, give them a trial. I mean, like, somebody doesn't just see an ad or some sort of marketing piece and go, oh, now I want to become an exerciser for life. Like, today is the magic moment. It's like that's not how marketing works. So it is a very long process of investing. And I'm going to show some stuff even about kind of how our brain works with marketing, because I think, like you said, you can't just market for a month and expect to get results. I mean, it's sort of like somebody signing up for a personal training program for, the next 2 years, but they're going to do it all in 2 weeks. It's like, well, get me in shape in 2 weeks. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work that
I want
way. So,
I want everyone to think about what we're marketing. We don't sell pizza, where
right,
90% of people who see the ad are like, hey, I want that. Man, I'm going to get instant satisfaction from that, right? We're selling a product that a lot of people don't want, they need. And virtually no one gets instant satisfaction from it,
right.
right? It could take up to a year sometimes. And so, like, I think it's important to recognize that, like, calling a lead one time, texting them one time, A, is an insult to the person who raised their hand, gave you their information, and said, "Hey, I'm interested in this." By that amount of follow up, right? B, it's just not gonna cut it. This is something that it takes some persuasion and some persistency to convert someone into our products, right?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a time and a repetition, and then I call it the buying journey. Um, you know, we forget that there's like a behavior change process, especially in fitness, right? I mean, it's one thing if your air conditioning is broken and you need your air conditioning fixed, then yeah, the heating and cooling air conditioning ads that you see are going to solve your problem immediately, and you want it solved today. But most people are not, going about their day going, today's the day I'm going to hire a personal trainer and change my life forever. That is a journey. It might be over several months, might even be over several years. It might be, my doctor's mentioned this to me 3 times now in the last 3 appointments that I need to lose some weight or I need to get my blood pressure down or whatever it is. The last time I went on that family trip, I got winded every time we did something. I mean, there's this journey, and then all of a sudden we put an ad in front of them and they go, I don't know. And then we put another ad in front of them and they go, okay, maybe. And they fill out the ad form, but they don't really want to be called. And we call them
Mhm.
once, right? And they don't answer because they're like, I don't really. And then we either give up or we call them again and we text them again or we call them again and we email them and we keep trying. And eventually they go, well, what is it? Oh, it's 3 free personal training sessions. That doesn't sound too bad. And that's still a journey, right? I think sometimes we
Mhm.
still forget, like they can get to the end of those 3 sessions and go, man, I don't know if I want to sign up for this for 6 months. It might still take a process. In fact, I have a lady sitting here on my desk, Andrea. She's gone missing on the journey, right? She's doing what the ad we're running with you guys right now. I'm showing it. It's a 5-day free pass, right? And it's basically 5 sessions with the trainer. She went missing on session 4. We're trying to track her down, right? She canceled with one trainer, another trainer got her rescheduled, didn't show up for that one, right? So now she's lost. And we could go, ah, she's no good. Kyle gave us a terrible lead, right? And we could just be like, she didn't show up. Or we could be like, dang it, we're going to try everything we can to search and find this person, rescue her, because it felt like she was ready to sign up, right? She was at the fourth
Yeah.
session, she's loving it, and now she's gone missing. Well, there's 19 things that could have come up, right? She might have fallen over the weekend, her spouse might have fallen. She happens to be, I'm looking at her sheet, she happens to be 83. And a friend told um, her about this place. So I think it was as much she knew someone related to here as it was the ad offer, right? So it's sort of a
Yeah.
congruency. The fact that she has a friend that's here already makes us know like we got a really good shot of winning her over. But if we give up now, right, it's like, marketing doesn't work, right? They don't really want to sign up. So it's easy to sometimes throw in the towel. So just to share some stats with you, and this is 10 years old. It's probably way more now. Um, we're bombarded with ads. And now that we have the phone, the internet in our pocket 24/7, I mean, email, texting, gosh, we're all bombarded with brands and images and things that are coming at us all the time. Um, our brain is trying to filter all this stuff, right? It's like, oh, that's not something I want. That's something I might be interested in. Like you said, pizza. That's an immediate thing. What are we having for dinner tonight? Oh, that's a good offer, and you could text your spouse, hey, you want to get pizza for dinner tonight? Our brain is filtering all this stuff, right? In terms of what is something we might be interested in, definitely not interested in, file it away for later. Our brain also responds to novelty, right? So if we keep showing people novel things and they're somewhere in the journey of maybe I know I need to do something fitness related, that's really important. And our brain likes patterns, which I think one of the mistakes people make is they change their ads too much too often, right? Whether it's a postcard like this, whether it's a Facebook ad, they change it so often nobody ever recognizes you, right? It's like if I sent you this in the mail, I know you're going to throw it away the first time, right? Because you're going to be like, I know that's trash. It's a direct mail postcard, goes in the trash. But the third or fourth time it comes, you might go, huh, I've seen this somewhere. This looks familiar. I'm sensing a pattern I need to look for. I think that's really important in our email marketing. Just kind of everything we're doing in terms of consistency is really, really important.
Yes.
So these repeat kind of what I say coincidences. Like I'm not even sure. I need to go back and ask Andrea because she did not sign up through our Facebook ad. She came in and asked for our Facebook ad. She knew about the 5 day
Uh-huh.
gym pass. So she might have seen it on Facebook, but didn't want to sign up on Facebook. And then when she comes in, she's like, well, Linda Young told me about it, and it's sort of an interesting sort of repeat coincidence where it reinforces these things. So the brain forgets elapsed time. That's the other thing and I have noticed this with what we're doing with you guys, Kyle, is that people will come in sometimes 6 months later and be like, well, can I do that 21-day special that I saw you're running? And I'm like, we haven't been running that for 3 or 4 months, but their brain forgets, right? Because they just know it filed it away. Oh, I got to do that thing at Miracles Fitness, right? I filled
Uh-huh.
out the form. They contacted me, but I never followed through. Um, we got in there, they filed it away, and now they're ready to do it. So
Well,
I always
Dan,
I'm like, look, if you're not running the 21-day special anymore, and someone walks in and they want it from 6 months ago,
give
by
it to
all
him.
yeah, give it to them for sure. Yeah, I don't even. I'm like, I can look back and be like, yeah, it was $99. We can totally do that for you. Yeah, absolutely. It's funny when people are like, oh, they came in for this special that ended 6 months ago. We're not offering them that. Like, why not? Of course, you're offering them that.
And your story there with the lady, this is something that happens common too. Uh, we can get really um, intentional about tracking leads on the internet, right? Almost in a creepy way. And what we see often is people see a meta ad, but they don't fill out the lead form there. They want to go do their research, right? But we attach the pixel on them and we can follow them. They went to your Google. That's why Google reviews are so damn important. And
Yep.
your pictures on Google that tells a story, right? And then you guys at Miracles, I know you're doing all the ancillary things well too, as far as there's five buckets of marketing for fitness. One is digital, right? Another one is community. Another one is referrals. And this lady saw the ad on Facebook, but came in because she also was referred by someone, which is part of your community, right? And if you didn't have those other things, maybe she wouldn't have filled it out on Facebook and maybe she wouldn't have came in. But it all ties together, right?
Yep.
And I you have a lady who went missing. I have a lady who's upset with me right now. And I would encourage anyone who's listening in on this call, um, if you're ever looking at hiring a marketing agency or a marketer, and the questions they ask are like, "What offer do you want to do, and how much do you want to spend?" And that's it. Run, right? And I'm plugging my own company here, but there's other good agencies out there too. What you want to look for is uh, in a discovery call where they say, "What's your follow up process with leads?" Right? What are you doing to get out in your community? What are you doing for referrals? They're interviewing you as much as you're interviewing them because they know, like I know, if a person doesn't do those other things, their follow-up process isn't in check, they're not getting out in the community, they don't have a referral play, then the digital is going to hurt as a result of it, and then that reflects poorly on my agency, right? And that's why it's fun working with you, Dan, because you guys do all those things, which makes the ads perform better, right? And so this
Right.
particular person, I met with them, they weren't doing any of these things, nor did they believe it worked. They didn't believe lead follow up works. They said it just upsets people, right? Yes, it upsets some people,
Sure.
but
Sure.
not everybody. They didn't do anything in their community. They didn't do any of these things, and ultimately, I said, you're really going to struggle, uh, and that didn't sit well with them,
Yeah, they
and that's
probably didn't like
okay.
that. They didn't like that answer.
um,
Um,
but
yeah,
uh, but yeah,
you're
like
yeah, you're
it's all
totally right.
encompassing.
You're totally right. Because I think we don't want to do the hard part of the follow-up, right? The
Mhm.
marketing actually is the easy part, right? I mean, we can put an ad
Yeah,
out there, we can send out a postcard, we can shoot, you can run an ad on TV or digital streaming if you want. But the hard part is you have to actually deal with the person, right? And some of them, I like it too. Some people on the internet are like, yes, I'm interested, right? They fill out the form, they come in, they sign up. Other people are like, "Eh, I don't know if I want to give you my phone number." And then you call and they're annoyed, right? And
Yep.
you're going to get both. This person, I don't know. I'm going to be ageist, right? She's 83 years old. She might not have been able to figure out how to fill the form out on Facebook. She saw it and then she probably talked to her friend. We're actually, Kyle, trying to figure out because we're like, I don't think her friend who she mentioned is even a client.
Oh wow.
So then you're like, well, that's good. I'm glad that people are mentioning us positively. Now it's very likely it's a former client, or maybe it's someone else who did our 5 day free or our 21 day, had a good experience, and Andrea just happened to ask her. We have to always remember people are going to ask around about you, right? They're going to be like, hey, you ever heard of this Miracles Fitness place? These Anytime Fitness guys for real? So all of that stuff you're doing out in the community does matter. In fact, last week I went to a luncheon with about 150 retirees, and there were a handful of our clients in the room, a handful of former clients in the room, and I'm thinking, most of these people are seeing our Facebook ads at some point, right? And so here I
Yeah.
am showing up for 2 minutes to give them a quick presentation of a free class we're doing. It's called uh, Wabash Area Lifetime Learning Association. They put on like a 4 week almost college semester, and they have 40 different classes you can take on every topic you can imagine, from the Vietnam War to Sherlock Holmes to writing poetry to learning how to do painting and sculptures, and I mean any kind of class you could imagine they're offering it, right? And one of them happens to be a functional fitness class by me. I'm like, well, what a great marketing opportunity. So again, it reinforces the Facebook ads because now they see a name, a real person, all that sort of stuff. Um, so you got to show up in different places. This is why, like, you can't just, I mean, you can just run Facebook ads, but they're just not as effective as if you show up in lots of different places, right? Because then people are like, oh, yeah, it is a real place. And they were at that event, or they sponsored a table, or they donated at the charity auction, or, pretty soon it starts to feel like you're everywhere they are. And it creates this sort of you're a big deal, right? It's like, oh, I'm seeing you everywhere, right? I didn't know you guys were such a big deal in this town. Whereas if we go back to how we started, if you just build a fitness center somewhere, people will drive by you and not even know you're there. Like they
Yep.
just have no idea you exist. So we have to do things in different pockets of where the people are, so that they take notice. So let's do a little marketing math, because I know a lot of people are like, well, but I can't afford to spend $1,000 a month, right? Kyle's going to want me to have a minimum of $1,000 a month advertising budget. He probably wants me to spend 2,000 a month. Um, if I spend 1,000 a month on advertising, but I only sign up 600 a month in new clients, it feels like I'm losing money.
Yep. We hear
So,
that frequently.
so,
Um,
so walk us through why that's not really the case over 1, 2, 3 years.
yeah. So, uh, um, our industry, unfortunately, is a little different, right? Now, if you're a personal training studio, um, and you spend $1,000 on ad spend, and you only sign up 600, um, that that's one or two clients, right? But they're paying you $600 a month every month, right? And so you got to look at what your retention is, right? What your lifetime value or LTV of your client or your member is, and if they stay for 1 year, you're wildly profitable, right? You're looking at 600 times 12. That's what you made in a year off
Right,
that 1 month, $1,000 ad spend.
right.
Whatever, there's two ways to look at a return, right? One is like cash flowing, meaning I spent $1,000, I brought in 1,100 in cash this month, right? And the other one is looking at the lifetime value of a member. It's hard to cash flow in this industry unless you're charging massive upfront fees, and the barrier to entry is really, really high, right? And that's got more difficult with high value, low price competitors. It's hard to get those super high upfront fees. And so, Dan, you brought this up. We've been marketing with Miracles for some time now, and you've seen the growth, right? Like, and it's not like you're spending $5,000, $6,000 a month on ad spend either.
No,
Um, and you look at it this way. You and I had a conversation not long ago about there are some people that would look at the results of Miracle with the marketing and think it failed, and they'd be blind to what actually happened, right? So can you share a little bit? I know you have the math worked out on this on your end and how it worked out with Miracles, but
yeah,
we have
you're
to look at lifetime value, right?
you have to look at lifetime value. Even if you're selling gym membership of $50 a month, if you know you're selling a 12-month membership, right? It compounds over time, right? So in our case, we're selling personal training membership, and on average, this is about how we're losing, right? We're spending 1,000 a month in ads with you, plus your fee, and
Hmm.
we're signing up about $600 a month in new clients. But you get to the end of 12 months, right? And you have to take 600 a month times 12. And now all of a sudden you're like, hey, we've added 7,200 a month to our bottom line. Now you go, wait, the total investment was about 18 grand, your fee plus the advertising, and we added
Hmm.
84 grand to our business. And because our client retention is really high, our clients tend to stay 4 to 5 years. Well, like if I do that 2 years in a row, and that's kind of what we've done with you, right? We literally have seen the business
Hmm.
grow about $80,000 a year, $80,000 a year. So our revenue's up about 160,000, and we invested 18,000 a year with you guys. I mean, is the best almost I want to say it's the best money we ever spent. I mean, it's a obviously there are other things we're doing, but most of the other things we're doing don't cost money. Showing up at a luncheon doesn't really cost money other than time. And so it's a slow and steady, hey, we're going to keep investing 1,000 a month plus your fee to get $600 to $800 a month in new clients because we know we're building this snowball that over time you're like after 24 months you're like we've added 15,000 a month in regular personal training clients. Well, yeah, we're going to keep paying the marketing fees and keep growing. So I think that's the mistake people make is when they're like, oh, I spent $1,000 on marketing, but I only got 1,000 back. It feels like I'm not getting anywhere. Well, but if you're signing up clients, again, this is part of all the other processes, right? If your standard operating procedure is you sell a 10 session pack, well, then yeah, you're in trouble, right? Because
Yeah.
like we're not selling anything less than 60 sessions, right? I mean, you're signing up for 7 months, two times a week for 30 weeks. So we know we have you a long time, and most of our clients sign up for a year. So yeah, our conversion isn't huge. We There might be months where we get 10 or 12 people in on a 5-day free pass or on a 21-day $99 offer, and we might only get two or three into a year membership, but those are hugely valuable for us. And so, yeah, the math immediately doesn't look like it's working, but you have to look at it long term, right? You have to look
And
at
you're doing the little things right too, Dan. So, depending on how much you charge, right? So if you're charging clients $300 a month, that's two clients. If you're charging $200 a month, right? But if one of those people too refers someone,
right.
let's just say they're $300 clients for math purposes, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
you got two clients, one of them referred someone. Now it's not $600 a month. Now it's $900 a month too,
Right.
right?
And
And so
that and that
it grows
absolutely happens.
exponentially.
Yeah, that
Yep.
absolutely happens. And this is where it does get hard to look back and say, well, how many clients actually came from the Facebook ad? Because like Andrea is on the Facebook ad promo, but did not actually fill out the Facebook ad. So I could say, oh, well, we just got her, right? Because she randomly walked in. But
Hmm.
that would be pretty either naive or egotistical to be like, oh, she just randomly fell out of the sky. So there is a compounding effect, and of course, um, some of the people that come in, they don't. The crazy thing is they don't sign up. They're like, ah, this really isn't for me. But you know what? I have a couple of friends. Could they try it? Of course, right? And they refer us to people who, for whatever reason, maybe they're not even on Facebook, right? We'll never reach them
Yep.
on Facebook, but their friend referred them. And so there is a multiplying effect, so you can't underestimate that. So it really does pay off long term. And I think the reason I keep using the word invest is that you can't just look at it as an expense or a cost. Like, I lost another $1,000 on, you know, Facebook ads. It's like, no, you're investing in growing your business slow and steady over time and continuing to keep the exposure, name recognition. Because some people take 24 months to decide to sign up for a fitness program, don't you want to be in their Facebook and Instagram feeds permanently long term where they're seeing lots of different options? So, um,
Well,
so
and Dan,
let's smash the last myth too, right? Because I know there are trainers that are going to listen to this recording and go, well, I don't need to market because I'm so awesome. I have all the clients I ever need because of word of mouth. Um, what do you tell people that say that? And I'm not saying trainers aren't awesome, and I hope you get word of mouth. You should. If you're not getting word of mouth, that should be something you pay attention to. But I don't know if that in and of itself is a business strategy.
yeah. So two examples there. I've had a trainer who was an amazing trainer. I would go as far to say one of the best trainers we've ever employed in 20 years. They had a full book of business, and it happens to a lot of gym owners, whether you have a non-compete or not. They left and they screwed us, right? They took all their clients, almost all their clients, but maybe one went with them. They canceled their memberships. They went with them, and they were like, "I don't need you. I don't need the marketing you're doing. I don't need your gym. I got these like 30 clients." And it's like, yeah, but there is attrition, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so when you lose a client, what's your strategy to get another one? Right? And it was 2 years later, and they came crawling back, begging for their job back
Oh
because they're
no.
broke.
Oh
Right.
no.
And
Oh
so
no.
like they had no marketing, they had no brand. They were one of the best trainers ever. But it didn't work. And another mistake I see, Dan, in the same realm, you just mentioned like Miracles is up 15K a month in revenue. And you've been working with us for 2 years. A big mistake I see people be is like, well, I don't need it anymore.
I don't need it anymore. Yeah, yeah.
It's we're up, we're good, we don't need it anymore, and they cancel it, and then inevitably it starts to falter over time, right? And I'm not taking what I do, you said it earlier, it's kind of the easy part of it. What you guys do at Miracles, you've got it locked down. Sales process is great, right? Follow-up process is great. Referral process is great. Community, you just said you were out speaking to a group in the community. Your community stuff is great. So like that's why the marketing is easier for you because all the other things are great, right? I saw Mohammed had made a comment, and welcome to the call. He's got a background in economics and management, and so I read a ton about business and try to learn as much as I can about fitness and wellness business and economically or financially. A lot of gym owners too are just randomly picking a number. Well, I'll spend 1,000, right? Or I'll spend this amount. But really, like you should be spending a percent of your revenue. So
Right.
when your revenue grows, the amount you spend should grow with it, right? That means like if you have 1,000 members at a fitness club, um, and you grow to 1,500, even if your attrition rate stays at the same percentage, you're losing more people per year,
Right.
right? Because
Right.
20% of 1,500 is more than 20% of 1,000 members. And so you're losing more members every year. That means your hole in your bucket's getting bigger. And so if you that means you got to put more in the bucket, right? And so that's a mistake I see a lot too, is they're making more money and they cut their ad spend back because they think like I don't need it anymore. Mission accomplished.
Yeah. Um, I think the big mistake there, like you said, is it's not always just money. Sometimes it's busy, right? It's like, oh, we're plenty busy.
Hmm.
Or sometimes people don't want to hire the next trainer. And so it's like, well, we'll just figure out a way. And so we don't need to keep marketing because we're plenty busy. But attrition is always happening. And, like you said, we're great on a lot of these things. Some of them we still actually, I don't know if we are great. We need to get better. Um, and we can always be improving in some of these things. And I feel like one of the things that we miss is some of the referral opportunities. Somebody comes in because they saw the Facebook ad, they responded to the text, they got on the phone, they're like, "Oh, I totally want to do this." And I feel like one of the things we miss is getting their friend, right? Or getting their spouse or getting somebody else, because we're going to increase our likelihood of getting them to sign up if they're not doing it alone. And we've seen this time
Mhm.
and time again. When two girlfriends come in together, they literally talk each other into signing up. Well, if you do it, I'll do it. And then you just stand back and you watch, right? You're just like, hey,
Yeah.
they're gonna talk each other into it. So that piece I always feel like we need to get better at. We don't always do as good a job as we can to figure out why they're here, right? It's really easy to just be like, we don't have that much time. We got to jump into the training session. We'll have you fill out your health history or whatever. But we never really find out what was the excruciating pain that you were in that caused you to click on our Facebook ad, and fill out the form and actually talk to one of us on the phone. Because if we dig into that a little bit more, it's probably going to be a lot easier to turn them into a client long term. And the other thing I always say about word of mouth, look, some of the greatest trainers, like you said, that one trainer, they have great word of mouth, but you can't rely on that because that's like entrusting your business to your customers. You know,
Mhm.
if the best chef running the best restaurant trusted his customers' review of his meal and telling everyone to come eat at his place, that is way too much power in your customers' hands, right? Because your customers move away.
Yep.
Your customers move away. Your customers die, right? I mean, I hate to say it, but they die. They move into assisted living facilities. They decide to relocate. Their friend tells them that this yoga class is the best thing ever, and they decide to go there with their friend. And there's lots of reasons they quit that have nothing to do with how awesome you are as a trainer. You can be delivering the best service, and they decide they're going to go somewhere else, or our biggest competitor, they're going to go back to the couch, right? They're going to be like, I've had enough of this working out stuff. I think I'm gonna try working out from home, and we all know how that goes. There's lots of great
Another,
workouts on YouTube and Netflix. So
yeah, another mistake I see clubs make, or studios make. This has been happening more and more. Things are going really well, right? And then we do a monthly review call with an owner, and they're like, "Hey, I want you to introduce. This is my niece, Julie, and Julie is an Instagram influencer, and she'd like to ask you some questions." And I instantly know where this is going. Julie's 20 years old. She has like 20,000 followers on Instagram. And I'm not trying to go there, but like you look at her Instagram and she's in a bikini a lot of times. And it's like, she's got followers for a reason. But they're like, Julie is going to take over our marketing and she's going to do organic content for us on Instagram. And this is very important for owners to know and understand. You should be doing organic content all the time. It's awesome. There's three things you need to think about: consistency, quality, and quantity of organic posting. Right, and one trumps the other two, and it's consistency. So the algorithms would rather see you consistently post once a week then post 5 times one week, 2 times the next week, 3 times the next week. Consistency is key. Um, Posting organically will help paid ads because it teaches the algorithm who's engaging with that organic content, and it helps show the ads to a better or more qualified audience. Um, but organic alone is really difficult for a fitness club or fitness studio to grow. What organic can do really well is like if you're fitness influencer and you want to sell protein powder online that can be shipped anywhere in the world, 100% organic content, great, perfect, do Instagram, right? But it doesn't help generate people to come in your doors in Lafayette, Indiana, or Houston, Texas, where I am. Instagram influencers in general they're not local all the time, right? And,
right,
and
right.
so And like, I'm not bragging. I'll brag on my team a little bit. The 20-year-old niece might have went to college for marketing too and learned how to post some ads. We have a whole team. We have a team that works the night shift optimizing ads all night long, every night, right? It's not just posting an ad or doing something like that too. You have to optimize them to get them to perform well. We have a team that does integrations. Dan, you use a different CRM than our next client does, and our next client uses a different CRM. How do you get the leads into their CRM? Uh, Most Instagram influencers don't know how to do that, right? They're going to be like, well, I'll generate leads and they'll email them to you. And then you can put them in a spreadsheet. Well, now you're bogged down trying to enter leads from a spreadsheet into a CRM and try to message them like we are going to integrate it so it flows directly into your CRM, right? Like, sorry, I'm on a rant here, but
Yeah,
this
no,
is
I
happening
get
more
it.
and more where some young person's had a little bit of success getting some followers, but getting followers is not getting customers,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And also people can have followers but no engagement. And so just I digress, but I think it's a frustrating thing to see people put their business in the hands of a 20-year-old. Um,
Well, and I'll just add to that. I think sometimes we make the mistake of, oh, I want to get on the next shiny, fancy social media, so I need a 20-year-old to do that, right? So, I mean, I hear people say like, oh, I need to be on TikTok. Um, but have you asked the question, but are your potential clients on TikTok, right? So like, yeah, you
mhm.
might want to get a young fitness influencer who's crushing it on TikTok, but then you're like, but wait a minute. Um, the 55-year-old golfing dudes are not on TikTok at all. So sometimes you have to realize like I gotta go fish where the fish are that I want, um, and you guys can obviously place ads on Instagram and different places, so it's not like, but I think anytime you try to cut corners, right, or you're like, oh, I can make this simpler, I'll just hire my niece. Um, it's sort of like hiring your Uncle Bob to rewire your kitchen. It might not work out so well in the end, right? Unless he happens to be an electrician by trade. Probably not. I happen to live in a house where she had her brother-in-law do everything, right? And
And
all of
Dan,
it.
I have stats. I talked to an owner, this particular one who's upset at me. Uh, they said none of my members are on Facebook or Instagram. They're only on TikTok. And so I went through the call transcript to knock down like what is she said most of her clients are 18 to 30. Well, 18 to 29, uh, Facebook and Instagram eat up 80% of those users,
Sure.
right?
Yeah, sure.
60% of people also use TikTok, but it's 67% compared to 80%, right? And actually 18 to 29, YouTube's 95%, right?
Yeah,
Now we
yeah.
market on Google. Google owns YouTube, right? So
Right.
we're getting on YouTube as well. And then when you go to 30 to 49, which again, I would argue most training studios and fitness clubs, the 18 to 29-year-olds can't afford personal training,
Right.
right? They're not your ideal client.
And if they
I'm
can't
thinking
afford it, they don't stay.
they don't
That's the
stay.
other
Yep.
and that's the big thing. The math doesn't work if you don't have lifetime value, right? You
Hmm.
can't spend $1,500 a month to get $1,000 a month high-end personal training client if they're going to quit in 60 days because, oh, I want to go try that Pilates studio and now I want to go try that. If they might be a really high-paying client, but they're leaving super fast, so they have no lifetime value. I can spend 10 grand to get a client. If I know they're going to pay me 6 grand a year for 10 years, I'll spend 10 grand to get them. So now I'm winning in my market because it's like, well, how come you're getting all the Susans that are paying $800 a month for personal training forever? And we have a Susan who has paid $600+ a month for almost 20 years. I mean, you do the lifetime value on that, you're like, holy cow, it's over 100 grand. So
Yep.
um, yeah, we've absolutely done things to win her over. So I know we're running out of time, and I want to honor your time and everybody on here. So What would you say are the three biggest lessons you learned from multiple club ownership? I know you own multiple clubs in multiple states. Um, what would you say are the biggest lessons you learned from that?
Uh, I knew this was coming too, and I put a lot of thought into this, and there's like a million lessons.
Right, right.
Um,
We could go another hour, I'm sure.
I would say like you have to operationalize to scale and to grow everything. Um, if you are explaining a process or something more than one time to different employees, you don't have the right system and process in place. Um, uh, a good example of this, to break it really down quickly. Um, the other day, I caught myself doing this. I was explaining how to do something to one of our employees, and our CTO can hear me from my office. And he came in afterwards and he's like, "What were you doing?" And I said, like, I'm coaching, man. I was coaching our team, right? And he's like, "Did you record that coaching session?" I was like, "No." And he's like, "You're an idiot. Now you have to do it again with the next person." And so what his theory was, record everything when you're coaching and teaching, right? Put all that, you have AI as a tool now. You can record a video of you coaching a process or sales process or something, throw it into Claude, and tell Claude, create a course based on the transcript of this video and the call I had, right? And then create a test at the end of it or a quiz at the end of it. And now you never have to teach that process or that thing again. And that buys you time back so you can scale. I, for years, taught the same stuff, the same process to person after person after person, and didn't create a process. And so that was one of the biggest lessons I learned that I would have helped me scale faster
Yeah,
and more efficiently. So, like, build SOPs, build an onboarding course for your staff. You have it for your training clients, but not for your staff, right?
right, right.
So that I would have started marketing a lot earlier. I would have learned a lot more about it. I would have honestly, the reason we started KeepBooked is we did try several agencies, and none of them took time to understand our business. None of them asked us any questions about how we operate to see if it aligns with how they do things. And that's ultimately why we started KeepBooked, because we felt like someone had to understand business and help people. And so I wish I would have interviewed those agencies more too. That was a huge mistake we made. We spent a lot of money with agencies that ultimately just wanted our spend
Yeah,
or their
yeah.
fee, right?
They'll manage your ad
Um,
spend, yeah, but they don't really understand what you're trying to get. Well, look, I'm going to open it up to questions. Anybody on live, feel free to type in the chat any questions you have for either me or Kyle. What would you say is the biggest thing you've learned? Are you? I was guessing here. Are you managing marketing for about 100 clubs?
300.
300. Okay, I was way low.
Yep.
So 100 plus. Yeah, 300 clubs.
Yep.
What's the big takeaway you've learned from managing marketing for so many clubs?
Um, God, I hope this doesn't sound like insensitive or rude. My biggest takeaway is I'm shocked how many people own a business but don't understand how the business operates and functions and grows. Like, that sounds so like I'm not trying to come off as arrogant. I was there once too, and I wish I
Yeah,
had taken more initiative earlier. But um, like you said earlier, marketing is an investment, not an expense, and too many people are putting it as an expense on um, in their mind, and they're not putting energy into it, and they're not putting energy behind it, right, Dan? So like, or here's a good example too. I just saw you grab something and it made me think about it, right? I co-authored a book with you.
yeah, that's right.
um,
That's right.
right? Like, that's a marketing tool. A digital marketer co-authored a book with you because I needed additional marketing tools, not just digital, right? And
Right.
so like, that's a good example. I'm just shocked how many people are not. There's so much potential. If I wasn't inundated and like so busy trying to grow, keep booked, I would be buying up a lot of these locations myself because Dan,
I'm
you can see it too.
surrounded by books.
Yeah.
I've started a new job recently, and this particular company reads a lot, which is good. One of the things what I've said for a long time, if you're a business owner and you want to get somewhere further in the next 3 to 5 years, there's really only two ways you really do that. Right now, obviously, you can spend money to market to grow your business, but there's really only two ways you grow as a person. It's the people you surround yourself with. And this is telling, right? Like we only had 20 people register for today's webinar out of 4,800 people I sent it to, right? Because that
Mhm.
many people were like, yeah, I'm interested in learning from these guys who have owned multiple businesses over 20 years and what they're going to tell us. Um, because most personal trainers are not interested in business stuff. And then the people you surround yourself with, and then the books you read, right? The knowledge you expose yourself to. So I'll show you the books that I'm reading, and you might enjoy these.
Oh, love that one.
Yeah,
We
Jeb
had our whole
Blount.
team read that. Yep.
Yeah, fanatical prospecting, and then the one I just literally got yesterday. I haven't really hardly opened this. So have you seen this one?
I'm
90
writing it
days,
down.
90 days to level up your sales skills. Also by Jeb Blount. And then the other one, which I think is kind of what you were just talking about, it made me think of it. This is a really interesting book, Small Giants, and it's by Bo Burlingham. Companies that choose to be great instead of big, which I think is pretty much true for pretty much anyone in the fitness world. You're not going to be big, right? You're not going to be a multi 10, $20 million business, but you can be great. You really can be great even serving 100 clients. And so anyway, those are three books that I've been working through here recently. And I think a lot of business owners just don't do enough work on themselves. So let's see what questions we have live. Oh, Mohammed has a question. Kyle, based on your experience for someone moving from personal training and gym operations into fitness business management, which two skills would you prioritize first? Marketing, sales, client retention, or operations?
Great question.
Yeah,
Sales comes before marketing because if your sales funnel isn't or process isn't great, then marketing is not going to fix the problem,
right.
right?
Yep.
Sales, like you need to be great at sales first. Um, then you need to start pumping leads into that sales system that works, right? And then you make sales, and then the problem comes up with client retention and operations, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't build operations first because you don't know what problems you're trying to solve yet, right? Once the problems arise as you grow. So I would like, I mean, Dan, to give you like, I remember the first day I met you. I had heard about functional aging. Um, I flew out to Lafayette, Indiana. I came down. I said, I heard how much revenue y'all are doing, and I'm here to demand you tell me what the hell you guys are doing, right?
Yeah.
Like, I got to figure this out. And this was, I don't know, you and I met 10 years ago,
10 years ago. Yeah.
and you went through the sales process with me, and I memorized it instantly because it made so much sense and created value.
Yeah.
What your process does is create value. And I went home, like I didn't go home. I went to the car and started
I
writing it
still have a
down.
version of it. I
Yeah.
have a poster board on my office floor. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I wrote it down like in the car, right? I was so excited. I'm like, that sales process is going to work. I know it's going to work. And then I went and I role played it and perfected it and perfected it and perfected it. Right. And then we went out and marketed it.
Yeah.
Right. And so that was a great question.
Yeah, it's a great
Um,
question. And Kyle, you answered exactly what the sales piece is so critical because you can be phenomenal at marketing, but if you're terrible at sales, it doesn't matter. It's sort of like then you're just getting lucky. It's sort of like, well, you'll get a few order takers. The more you learn about sales, you realize there's always someone willing to walk into your club and just, give you an order, right? But the
yep.
vast majority of it is you have to have a sales process and client retention is not an issue if you can't sign anybody up, right? So it's like, of course, client retention is important, Mohammed, but that comes next, right? Like you don't have to worry about client retention until you're so good at sales you have so many clients, you got to figure out how to keep them. So sometimes people, I think, they want to be the best trainer and they don't have any clients, and it's like you don't have a retention problem, you have a sales problem. Like you got to get people signed up, you got to convince them why they need to train with you. That's really, really important. So for folks on the recording, Kyle, what's the best way for them to reach out to you, connect with you, contact you, ask you a question, pester you?
Yeah, so my email is Kyle, Kyle, at keepbooked.com, or you can go to keepbooked.com and schedule a discovery call. It goes straight to me. One thing we do with everyone, we do an hour-long discovery call. We learn about your business. We do a digital audit of your business from a digital perspective. We look at what a consumer sees that you might not see, because that matters, and we give that to you. So anyone who's interested in meeting with me, would love to chat. And Dan, thank you so much for this opportunity. It, uh, it's it's crazy that we've known each other 10 years, because it was like yesterday that I flew out there, and
It
and
is
we've
crazy.
both grown a ton, and life has changed since then, but in good ways. And uh, yeah, we could keep talking for hours. I Before I leave, because Dan, I love those three books. Uh, I read like three books at a time.
Yeah,
I'm currently reading
that's
the
that's the one
sci.
problem I have is I'm always jumping
Yeah,
from one book to the other. But right now at least two of them are by the same author, so the thinking pattern is the same.
I have two by the same author. Like I'm reading The Science of Scaling by Dr. Benjamin Hardy. Brilliant book looking at like the psychology of scaling a business. He's also the co-author of 10x is easier than 2x. I'm reading that. And then Measure What Matters by John Doerr.
Oh yeah,
Um,
that's I've heard of that one. Yeah, that's been on my list.
those are my three right now. And I praise you for what you said. Like, if you really want to scale your business, like, study, read.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah. Learn about becoming a better business owner instead of, just staying where you are. I have these bookcases because I have valued learning and reading, and now I'm jumping into reading in a whole new way that I've taken a new position, and I'm shifting, moving out of just functional aging, which is where I've been for so long. But yeah, I mean, you got to grow as a business owner, and I think too many people, we didn't even talk about this, but too many people spend too much time growing as a trainer. It's like, oh, well, if I get the 19th certification, then they'll come, right? That's more
mhm.
of the if you build it, they will come. The client really doesn't care that you got a 19th certification and now you have the entire alphabet behind your name, right? They care about, are you going to take care of them, treat them well, right? I mean, it's those kinds of things. So the business ownership growth is lacking largely in not just the fitness industry. I mean, there's lots of small business owners that need to grow to be better. So, well, I'm going to let you go,
Yeah.
Kyle. I know we're
Thank you, Dan.
probably both late for our next meeting, but he gave you his
Yep.
email. Email him, check out his website, check out what other people are saying about him, pester him, ask him for a discovery call. My goodness, he's going to give you an hour discovery call about your business. Take him up on it. So, thanks, Kyle. Thanks everyone for being on live.
Appreciate you.
Yep. Bye bye.